Have you ever felt like where you came from was supposed to define how far you could go? Well, I am letting you know in this episode today that that is a lie, and I have a story to prove it. And I hope that you resonate with it, you tell someone who may need to hear it, or it just motivates you to take a leap of faith of your own, no matter the environment, situation, because if not you, who?
You gotta win the day.
I am set to release my next single, Small Town Girl. And it is a story about who I am and how I grew up and how my mom raised me, but then also how I push myself to do all the things that I do today. And I really do hope that it just gives you a sort of fire to believe and to see yourself in a different light, or for you to see yourself through me and to keep going no matter what.
My mama raised me to be determined, to walk in every room and own it, to be a star and set the bar for myself despite who helped. This advice ain't for the weak.
This advice, lift that note up just a little bit.
This advice, this advice ain't for the weak.
You can do whatever you want after that. Advice is the one. That's the one that's gonna catch. Yes.
This advice. Okay.
That's the one that's gonna catch you. All right, so that's mental note.
So, Small Town Girl, I wanted to just create a story that tells you about me if you've never met me before. I think since I've started singing, like I put out different forms of singles, but the one single that I really wanted to put out before I worked on any larger project was something that was very personal, very close to me. And so that is how Small Town Girl was formed. I am originally from Greenville, South Carolina, but I grew up like in a small town in between Greenville, South Carolina and Spartanburg, South Carolina. So it's like Duncan, Lyman, Welford. And my grandparents live in Greer, South Carolina. And if you don't know anything about this area, it is, I would say, southern country, but not country like you're going to see cowboys, cowgirls like on these horses, like down the street. No, it's more of like a lot of land. It's very peaceful, very quiet. It's farms, it's gardens, and a lot of the people who live and work there are familiar with the BMW plant. Like there's a lot of people who work at the BMW plant, and sometimes when I tell people where I'm from, they're like, oh, my aunt or my cousin works at the BMW plant. So I guess you can say that's one thing that I would say would be like a big landmark in the area right there between Greenville and Spartanburg. But it's the upstate of South Carolina. And I grew up in low income housing, and we just did not have a lot. But my mom always told me to show up, and she always told me to believe that I was phenomenal and say that I was phenomenal. My mom passed away to breast cancer right before my senior year in high school. And so a lot of the things that she tell me today, like I really resonate with, and I use it to push me and fuel me to just keep going. Like it missed all the odds. So she was just someone who, if we're going to go practice, you're going to stay late. If there's someone who's better than you, then we're going to call them and we're going to figure out how to connect with them so they can help you or give you some sort of motivation. I remember when I was running track, we drove it was about 45 minutes to an hour to practice with a guy who was the #1 track and field athlete. And I remember I would go to several practices with him, like outside of my own high school practices, just to work out and for him to give me tips, because she really did believe, like, if you're going to do it, like, you got to do it all out and really try to be the best version of you. And so I just remember when I was in 7th grade, we had moved to a new area, and that area was the Duncan Lyman Welfare that I'm telling you about. And I was at a new school, new friends, new everything. And she basically said, I want you to try out for all the sports and I want you to try out for everything that you can so you can figure out like what you're good at. And so I ended up at the end of all of seventh and eighth grade, going into high school, I'm on the cheerleading team, I'm running track, and I'm playing softball. I'm the president of student council, I'm in the orchestra, and I'm fighting with this guy for first chair. It was either first or second. We were back and forth, and I'm doing pageants. And I'm like, looking back today, like, how in the world was I doing all that? But I just had a mom who she just felt like your environment does not dictate excellence. And even though we didn't have a lot, it's like she made it happen. I was borrowing clothes from girls who done pageants before. I was getting rides with my cheerleading teammates. I was staying the night so I can get to where I needed to go. Like, we really used all the resources that we could have. And I look back today and say, you know, there's no reason for me to give up. There's no reason for me to quit. And I have these big dreams, and it's like, keep going, because when you were growing up and your mom didn't have much, like, she figured it out. And so I think that's why I have that go get it attitude today, because with nothing, we were able to make a lot happen. And when I say low income, like, I'm talking about, we stayed like across the street from my high school in like community housing. And it was not the best, but we had a roof over our heads. There were times where we were homeless when we were younger, like sleeping in cars, sleeping in hotels. Like, it was a lot of rough days, but I think when I reflect and I reminisce, I feel like she would say, don't let your odds talk louder than your potential. And when I walked into rooms, or when I had to be at an event or a practice or performance, she would make sure our hair was fine. We would look presentable. I mean, we didn't have on the latest, but we looked presentable. And she really just encouraged me to show up as the person that I am becoming, even as a young girl. And when people see me today, they're like, oh, your confidence, or, oh, like your work ethic, or you do so much. And I think it just ties back into I'm reaching for the moon. And I do have very low days. I have days where it's like I'm ready to give up, and I have days where it's like, girl, how are we gonna pull this off? Like, how are we gonna do it? But I think I just reflect on my upbringing and just realize, like, I'm becoming the person that I really want to be, and I'm gonna give myself grace. And it may not look pretty all the times, and I have to make a lot of sacrifices, and I have to hold it down, but you know, we gotta keep pushing no matter what. And when I go back to the song Small Town Girl, I think if I had to say right now, like, what it means, I think if a little girl was listening to Small Town Girl, or if someone who is of my age or someone older is trying to figure it out, or trying to figure out how to beat the odds, or they're looking around at their current environment and saying, how in the world am I going to make this happen? I would say this song is a mirror for anyone who is trying to rise. This song is for the girl who is borrowing clothes, or renting a room, or trying to figure out how to make ends meet, or thinking so big, but her surroundings, or maybe even people, are telling her to dim her light or to shrink. This girl is me. This girl is someone you know, maybe even you. And I just hope that this song shows her that no matter what odds are against you, go get it. Give yourself grace. Pick yourself up when you can and start again. And if you have to talk to yourself to do that every day, then do it. But just don't quit. Slow down, but don't quit, and just know that whatever is on the outside of you does not reflect where you can go. And I just hope that my story, and as I'm trying to make it in singing, designing, modeling, that she sees herself through me. And just know that if you have that dream in your heart, then you can do it. No.
What's that process look like?
I usually lay everything down and then go back and do the the ad libs in the background.
So we lay all of the lyrics down and then go back and do the ad libs and stuff.
Yeah.
Once that's
Okay.
do you?
But when you see her, she a motherfucking star. Ain't no motherfucking scars.
Okay.
She grew up in the projects, in and out of hotels often. But when you see her, she a motherfucking star. Ain't no motherfucking scars.
Nice. Let's come in. We'll work with that.
Whether you want to buy a home or sell one, you need the right person to make that dream come true. Someone who knows the market, has the right relationships to support you, and keeps his finger on the pulse of the community. So what are you waiting for? Do what I did and contact Vaughn Hayes today, because you are the key to making it all happen, and that house is waiting for you to call it home.
So writing the song for Small Town Girl was very vulnerable, very intimate, very, very passionate, but also like nerve-wracking, because it's kind of just like remembering where you came from and then trying to put that into words. But then also I wanted to end the song with like an advice, a push, and motivation for those who would be listening to it. So one of the verses I say, "This advice ain't for the weak, to be confident when you ain't had too much to eat, when sometimes you didn't have nowhere to sleep." And I think when I wrote that part of the song, I wanted those who listen to it to remember to show up confident even when you are struggling or going through something privately. And that doesn't mean fake it till you make it. That just means show up, and show up as the best version of yourself. Make sure your hair is how you want it or presentable. Make sure your outfit is presentable. Do not look like, you know, what you've been going through, because you never know. Just showing up and presenting yourself in the best way. You never know who you might meet, what information you might get that you may have been over obsessing over, or overthinking, or contemplating. Like, that might be answered in that moment because you decided to show up. And people treat you how you present yourself. So if you present yourself in a certain way, then people are gonna treat you with respect, and you are even gonna respect yourself, because it's like, okay, you know, I showed up. And hopefully you have just a little bit of confidence because you pushed yourself. Another line in the song is, "She knew how to turn something out of nothing." I think when I wrote this line, I just wanted to put out there to be resourceful. Let being resourceful become your superpower. And so if you've been watching the podcast, like even this podcast, I'm at the library recording this podcast because I don't have a space. Lights, cameras, podcast equipment, mics, like this is all available at the library at no cost. And so this is just one way that I'm being resourceful, and it's something that I've always wanted to do. And, you know, making it happen and showing up is building confidence within myself, and just proving that, you know, we can make it happen with what we have around us. I think another line that I really wanted to point out was, don't let what happened in your past make you think that you're going to finish last. And I think, don't let whatever history that you have or that you know about yourself or your family, don't let that limit anything that you have in front of you. And I think when you listen to this song, again, it's going to motivate you, it's going to inspire you, but it's also going to give you that push to go for it and to be confident that, you know, there are other people who are like you, who've been through things that you have been through, but there's a way to move forward, to think forward, to fail forward, to just go forward, no matter the obstacles that are around you or that you've been going through. So I think if I had to just wrap up the entire song, it would be, just don't let your upbringing be your ceiling. Don't let your upbringing be your ceiling. And a lot of people would probably say, like, the sky is the limit or something in reference to that. But I think just think big. My grandmother called me this past weekend, my grandmother on my dad's side, and it was like we were talking about something, and she was like, Ruby, what does it mean to think big? What does it mean to think big? And I think that's something that, everyone should ask themselves, like, what is my think big? Like, if I could think big right now, like if nothing was stopping me, if nothing was, tugging at me in terms of mentally or financially, like how could I think big? And so hopefully when you listen to the song and as I post content, I want to put out there, like, maybe that was the little girl, the person that you were, but think about the woman that you are now becoming and the woman that is in the future that is rooting for you to keep going so you can meet each other at the highest point of your life. And I think just don't think that you are not good enough because of the zip code that you're in right now. And take the risk, pray about it, and then take the risk, whatever that looks like for you. Because even though if we're in a different industry or we're striving for different things, I think the one thing that a lot of people can have in common is just picking themselves up and trying to figure out how to take a step, how to take a risk, or that moment when they realize, like, I'm going to bet on myself, and just that internal feeling that they had at that moment. And even if it was hard along the way, it's just remembering that time where it's like, you know what, that is the moment that I took the risk. And this is what I would tell someone if they are trying to figure out how to take a risk within themselves. So
whether you want to buy a home or sell one, you need the right person to make that dream come true. Someone who knows the market, has the right relationships to support you, and keeps his finger on the pulse of the community. So what are you waiting for? Do what I did and contact Vaughn Hayes today, because you are the key to making it all happen, and that house is waiting for you to call it home.
another thing that I wanted to share was this past weekend, I was at this women's event. Shout out to Makia. Makia and I, we competed in Miss North Carolina USA, Miss South Carolina USA together, and we kind of created a relationship from there. And one of the questions that she asked during the women's event that we were a part of to celebrate at her upcoming album, she said, "What was the thing that you like to do as a little girl?" And I said, "I love to sing and draw." And then she said, "Well, are you doing that today?" And I'm singing and drawing. I would relate to like the sketches or the designs that I have to come up with or I'm coming up with for my clothing line. And that just tickled me inside because not too long ago I was not doing that. And so it just kind of reinforced to keep on going because the little girl in you is wanting you to be the person that you always dreamed of. And while it is not easy, it's not for the weak, it's exciting to be able to just keep going and seeing how far I can take it. So if you are watching this, let me know. Do you have a story similar? What is your story? What is a piece of motivation that you can give to someone who is trying to take a leap of faith or trying to get back to the things that that little girl in her wants to do? And I can't wait for you to hear Small Town Girl and just see all the content that I'm putting together to put it out there. And I hope you relate to it. And if there's something that you want to ask or that you want to be brought up on Ruby's Roundtable, let me know so we can talk about it and just continue to keep pushing forward together.
When sometimes you didn't have nowhere to sleep. Sheesh. This is for the small town girl from the country who knew she'd be something, but she know how to turn something out of nothing. She grew up in the projects, in and out of hotels often. But when you see her, she a motherfucking star. Ain't no motherfucking scars.
Second verse. That's what we missing. We missing the second verse and we done.
No. That ain't the second verse.
This is the second verse. Well, unless you said it's not. Unless you said it's not.
If not you, then who? If not you, then who?